Hello and welcome to Planning Center University. My name is Reagan and I'm over all of the customer experience teams here at Planning Center. And today we have a special PCU about children's ministry and specifically about how to take care of your families. They're the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And so we're going to talk through some strategies today of how do you better take care of them? How do you make sure that none of them fall through the cracks? How do you make sure that they get into Planning Center easily? And what do you do with them and their information once it's in Planning Center? So where we're going to be today is primarily in Planning Center people, but we are going to hop over really quickly to the front side of Planning Center and look at Church Center and registrations when we're talking through some of these examples today. The primary thing to know is that today we are going to be talking about what you can do, not necessarily how you can set it up. So these examples are to give you ideas of things that you can do, but we have other Planning Center University courses that'll walk you through how to set up your people account, how to set up Church Center, and how to use those things from scratch. So we're going to see a lot of data today and a lot of examples, but it's all intentional, and I'll make sure that we go through it at a good pace. So the very first thing that we're going to talk about is how do families come into your Planning Center account? Well, if you already use Planning Center for other things like volunteer scheduling, online giving, community events and registrations and those types of things, then chances are they're probably already in your account. But let's talk about new families first. Like, how would we get new families into our Planning Center account, or what would be some strategies around that? So we're going to pop over here to Planning Center People, which is our people database, right? This is where all of the information about profiles live. And we're going to explore forms for a second. Forms are just like any other online form that people can fill out. This would be the primary way that new families are going to add themselves to your account is through a form. So let's click Forms here at the top. And there are two ways that you can kind of go about this. The first way is you can have a generic form for lots of different ministries in your church, like a connect card, right? A digital connect card that you call people's attention to. Or you can have a specific form that is just for your new families. I'm going to do that because I think that one of the strategies around this is you want as frictionless of an experience as possible, right? So we don't want to ask them a ton of questions to get them into the account. We just want to ask them the bare essentials so that they can get up and running or get their kids checked in really quickly. So we're going to scroll down here to New Family. And basically what I've done here on this New Family form is just generic information, right? So we just need to know, who are you? What's your phone number, and then the ability to add household members from here. So any new kids, I don't have any new kids. I have the same kids I've always had. But you can add all of your kids here, and then once you've filled out their information and collected what you need to know, you just click Submit, and then people could get checked in. Now, the cool thing about all of these public-facing pages of Planning Center is that you can actually get a QR code for these pages. So you can see down here at the bottom of every public page, there's this little shareable code link. And when you click on that, it's just going to open up this QR code, and you can actually download it to your computer. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, chances are that when you have new families coming into your church, they are probably going to be interacting with like walking through a lobby, or maybe there's stuff on the screen that you want them to see. And so you can have them just proactively add their information by calling it out. You can either print it out on like a poster like this, where they would just scan that, and then it would just take them to that same form where they can log in. Or you can even put it on like a digital slide like this, where maybe that's going through your kiosk, or it's on a screen on one of the devices in your lobby where they can just scan it and add their family quickly from there. That's what my church does. We don't even have a manned station for check-ins. We just have this QR code that people can scan, and then they can click it, or they can fill out their information on their own on their phone. And that's typically pretty fast, right? Because they already have a lot of that information already on their device. So they just click boom, 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 and then they're set to go, and we check their kids in. This is also a public link, right? So you can have it as a banner on your website, like plan a visit or something like that, so that people can just have that information proactively added into their account. So that's the first way that people are probably going to add themselves to your Planning Center account, is through a public page like a Connect card or a form, and through those QR codes. Let's talk about the other way that people might add themselves to your Planning Center account, and that would be through an event that you're putting on, like VBS, for example. So in registrations is the way that you would do that. It's the event plan, or the way for people to register for events in your church, right? Hence the name. So I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like publicly. So here you can see all of your events in registrations have a really nice page where you can see any of the upcoming dates and times, and then you can click the register button here. And when people click the register button, it's going to look a lot like what we just saw on that people form, which is that they're able to choose who they want to register. So I'm going to volunteer, and I'm going to register my son. And then when I click next, I'd be able to choose who's attending each of those things. So I'm the volunteer here, and Silas is going to be the attendee. And so your families would be able to choose all those different options, right? So this is great if you have things like you want to collect church sizes, or you have a curriculum that people are going to buy and those types of things, and that would be the other way that families are going to add themselves to your Planning Center account. So those are the two methods that you would have as far as them adding themselves. You can also always add your own families to your Planning Center account. But let's talk really quickly about what that kind of looks like. So let's go over to People again. So in Planning Center People, every person has a profile page. So you can see here I've got Zoe's profile page pulled up, and I can see some different information about her. I can fill out that information myself. But then you also have here on the right Zoe's household. So these would be people that she lives with, right? Siblings and parents. And what's great about this, or the benefit of this, is that this is obviously going to be how you're primarily going to sort through or find particular parents that you're going to talk to. And I'm going to talk to you about that in just a second. But you can see here on anyone's profile, I can click the edit to edit their household, and I can choose who the primary adult is. I can add more people, like maybe they live with grandparents as well. I can add them. Or maybe they bring their cousin to church. We can add them as well. So households are kind of however you want to use them, but the primary use for them is to group families together so that you can either find and identify who to talk to, right, the parents of those kids, or find specific kids themselves that you might want to promote certain events to, or things like that. And then you can obviously remove a household, and people can be a part of multiple households too. That's important to know. So like if the grandparents and the parents are there and they don't live in the same house, Zoe can be in both houses, and you can actually promote things to both of Zoe's households. Okay, so now we've talked about how do people get in and how do you keep them together as a family unit. Let's talk about ways that you can promote things or communicate with those families. So in Planning Center, in People specifically, we have a feature that we call lists. And whenever people are signing up for Planning Center or are moving from another system to Planning Center, I typically hear this question a lot, which is, how do I get a report of blank? How do I get a report of all the families in my account? Or how do I get a report of any of the parents of kids 6 and under? I always encourage people, whenever you're thinking about the word report from another system, substitute it in Planning Center with the word list, and that's probably what you're looking for. A list is a way for you to find specific people in your Planning Center account and then take action on them. So let's go over to lists in People, and I'm going to show you a few different examples of a list and how it would help you take better care of your families. So we're going to start with our basic list. Now, our basic list here is it has some rules set up. So let's talk about what rules are. Rules are the things that are going to qualify or disqualify somebody from this list. And so in this particular case, I'm just looking for any profile, any person in my account who is under the age of 12 years old. Now, that list is only going to be so helpful for me because a lot of those kids probably don't have email addresses, phone numbers, and probably don't know how to spell very well yet or read very well yet. And so instead, what I'm looking for are the parents of those kids. So you can see here, now that I've found the kids, right, that's what this rule is for. Underneath, at the very bottom, my list should include, and I'm choosing the household adults of the matches. So instead of it's finding all of the kids, but then it's giving me in the list all of their parents. Now, you can swap that out to be exact matches, which would give you the actual kids. You can also say all household members, which would be kids and their siblings and their parents, and then primary. So if you wanted to just be talking to one parent, you could also do that because every household has a primary contact. But in this case, I want to talk to mom and dad. My wife handles the schedule a lot of the time, so even though I'm the primary contact, she's the one that's reading those emails. So we're going to say all household adults. And then when I click submit, that list is going to run and it's going to give me this result, which would be the parents of those kids. And so this is the first way that you can kind of care for your families, is creating a list like this that then you would just be able to contact them whenever you need to. So to do that, you can just go to this list and click on this little send icon here. And there are a few different features of how you can contact these parents. The first one would be just an email, right? So maybe we send out a newsletter to all the parents of our kids. You can send an email from Planning Center itself, which is more of a plain text email. You can also send a email from an integration like MailChimp, where you would be able to actually create a nice banner and like some buttons and all those types of things, more for like a newsletter that was going out to the parents. You can also send a Church Center announcement. So Church Center is our free app. I've already kind of shown you the public pages of that on the website. But there's an app as well where families can view all the information that's public facing of your Planning Center account. And so you can just send out a push notification to all of your families. So it's not going to send them an email or a text. It's just going to notify them through the app if they've got the app installed. And then you can send a text message. And again, through Planning Center, that would be just a basic text message. But there's also 2 integrations with our friends from Clearstream and from Text in Church that would allow you to do more of a short code system and back and forth and all that type of stuff. So those are some really helpful ways that you can connect with your families through just a basic list. Let's really quickly talk about other communication methods that you can do with an advanced list. So we're going to go back to lists really quick. And I'm going to paint you a scenario. So let's say that we got VBS coming up, and maybe for VBS, we want to be promoting that, starting at the beginning of the year. Like, hey guys, sign up for VBS before April 1st, and you're going to get an early bird discount and, all these different promotional things. One of the things that we want in Planning Center, and hopefully you want too, is we want to prevent notification fatigue. We want to make sure that when people are getting an email from Planning Center, that they open it and they read it. And so maybe what we want to do in the case of this VBS is we want to make sure that as people sign up for VBS, they don't get those emails anymore because they've already taken action on that thing. So this would be an example for an advanced list like this. So I'm going to go into this advanced list, which is people who are not yet signed up for VBS, and I'm going to walk you through the rules. The rules are going to look like what I just did, which is I'm looking for people who in my database are under the age of 12 years old. That's going to give me all the kids that we have, right? But then I'm actually only including kids that have attended an event in the last 12 months. So if they've come to church in the last year. So I'm not going to email people that maybe have moved away or don't live in the area. They just visit every once in a while. And then I'm going to exclude people from the list who have already signed up for VBS, either as a volunteer or as an attender. And so what's cool about that is that as people hopefully sign up for this email list, or as people sign up for VBS, they fall off of this email list, right? So they're not going to get notifications about VBS or the promotional part of VBS. And again, I'm including the household adults that match the children in this list, right? And I don't want to include exact matches, which would give me children if there were no parents. So when I submit that list is going to give me, hopefully, a more filtered result. So you can see my old list had 60 parents in it, and this list only has 22 parents. So these are just the parents who haven't yet signed up their kids for VBS. And with lists like this, you can set them up to refresh. So I could say, hey, I'm going to send out that promotional email maybe at the beginning of every month. So what I can do is just refresh the list to be monthly. So every night on the 1st, it's going to run, and parents will come off of this list if they've already signed up their kid for VBS. And so that way it would ensure that, again, only the people that the email is relevant to are getting the email, right? And you can obviously do the reverse for this of like maybe there's things about VBS that you want to tell parents, but only parents that have signed up for VBS. You can have as many lists in your account as you want, and they can all have as simple or as complex rules as you want. So that would be a way that you could communicate with the right group of people always through your Planning Center account. Let me talk about one more cool thing that I've seen some people do, which is that they, in addition to or instead of sending an email blast every time you have an update for parents, they use Church Center for that. So in Church Center, you can create custom pages. And so in Church Center, I've seen people create something like this, which is just a family hub. This is a custom page that I've set up that is all the things relevant to families in my church. So we have our upcoming events in registrations that are all children's based, right? So baptisms, VBS, we do an angel tree at Christmas time. So that list, that block is what we call it. It's a section of information. It's going to automatically update whenever there's a new event that's relevant to families. Similarly, we've got all of our youth group small groups in here so that parents with older kids could just see those from there. And then we've got a recent update section, which is just kind of like a little mini blog that we run. And again, with custom pages, you can have as many pages as you want. And so I can set up a new page every time I've done, maybe it's just a hard copy of that newsletter that I send out to parents as well, but that people could read the past issues of that from here. So this is a cool way that you can, again, kind of streamline all the communication to your families in one place, right? And instead of maybe sending out a newsletter, I could just send out a push notification to all the parents that are using the app, and they would know that there's something new on this page for them to check out. So that's a cool communication tip for you there. Okay, we have one more stop today on caring for your families. We've talked about how they get in. We've talked about how do you communicate with them when they're in there. Let's also talk about ways that you can identify families that might need more assistance or might need your help and what you can do with them. So we're going to talk about workflows. A workflow in Planning Center is a multi-step process that you want to move individual people through. So let's say we have new families, right? We do something with new families whenever we see them in our account. So first what we want to do is we're going to want to find out who are those new families. We would use a list for that. I've already shown you a few examples of lists today, but I'm going to show you one more, which is first-time families. I'm going to show you two more, actually. I lied. So we're going to look at first-time families here. And the rule for a first-time family is just I want to see all of the parents of any new kid that has first attended an event, right? So if you're onboarding new families through the Church Center app, then you're going to know when you're going to have all those families grouped together, right? Because they fill out their information and then any child information. And so what this is going to do is it's going to return any adults, right? So we've got Joe and Terry. They're both in the same family, but they get added to this list. And again, with those refresh settings, I can make sure that every week on Monday, this list refreshes with new information. So anytime we see a new family in the database, boom, they're going to show up in this list. What I can do with that is that I can set up an automation. Automations are this tab here, and it's a way for whenever somebody's added to or removed from a list, we need to do something with them. And so I can say whenever a new person is added to this list, we are going to perform an action. In People, we are going to add them to a workflow. And we're going to add them to our first-time families workflow. So now that I've set that up, I don't have to do anything with this. Every time new families show up, boom, they're going to get added to that workflow. So now let's talk about what is that workflow. The workflow would be something like this, where it's going to be me. I'm just going to connect with them again. So maybe we've already talked in person, or maybe they gave me their number, but I'm just going to reach out to them again. I'm going to introduce them to Christy, who is the children's ministry director. And then Christy might want to ask them if they want to set up a next steps meeting where she talks about either programs for the kids or classes for the families or small groups that they can be a part of. And then she's going to complete them from that workflow. So that's an example of something that we might want to do that steps families through a particular thing as they join our church or as they visit. The more advanced example of that would be something like if families were slipping away, right? So I'm just going to walk you through the list of that. So we'll go back to lists here. And I've got families slipping away. And in this rule, I'm looking, again, for the same thing that I've kind of looked for the new families, which is, hey, I'm looking for anybody that's checked in to check-ins for the first time. This one I'm saying, hey, they haven't signed up for, or they haven't attended anything in check-ins for 2 months. So 8 weeks of inactivity in check-ins, or they've also missed their small group activities. So either part of a youth group, or maybe we have family small groups, those types of things. They aren't attending those either. So it would give you results for either thing, right? Either they haven't checked in on a Sunday morning, or they haven't been a part of their small group that they're a part of. And again, that would be refreshing probably every Monday or maybe every night if I really wanted to take immediate action on that type of a thing. And you can set that up through the settings. But the other automation that you can do is you can just create a one-step process, which is what we call a task. So tasks live in Planning Center Home. So I'm just going to set that up really quickly, which is I'm going to say whenever someone's added to this list, so they haven't checked in the last 8 weeks, or they haven't been a part of their small group for the last 6 events, whether that's a weekly event or a monthly event, then I'm going to, in Planning Center Home, I'm going to add a task, and I would add that task to myself, and it might just be call this family or connect with these people or see what's up. Those are the 2 actions that you can take off of a list, would be either a workflow, which is lots of different steps that we're going to go through with different people assigned to them, or a single process, which would be a task just assigned to a particular person like myself of, hey, just give that family a call. And one of the things that I hear a lot when people are signing up for Planning Center is, hey, we're hesitant to use some of this stuff because we don't want it to seem too impersonal. And software is just a piece of that puzzle, right? It can be as personal or impersonal as you want it to be. So in both of those examples, if we have a new family joining on, that might be multiple people that need to make a personal touch, whether that's a phone call or a coffee meeting, or just seeing them on a Sunday and making sure that they're touching base with them and feeling welcome. Or it might be something as simple as, hey, I can't keep tabs of where everybody's at all the time. There might be a family that I haven't noticed hasn't come for a while, or maybe they have been coming, I just haven't notice them, right? But once I set those things, I can kind of forget them, and I just get notified whenever someone meets that criteria, right? So that task could be impersonal in the sense of I just shoot them an email automatically whenever I get assigned to them, or I can even set up an automation that just sends them an email and I don't even have to touch it. But you can also make it very personal and saying, hey, I'm just going to connect with them in the way that makes the most sense, whether I see them again or we're friends or whatever. So those are the ways that you can help, that Planning Center can help you take care of your families, is that those lists can be very specific, and they can be looking for either people that meet certain criteria or don't meet certain criteria, and be doing certain actions depending on all those things. So Planning Center takes care of the hard part of making sure that nobody slips through the cracks as long as your lists are accurate. And then you do the part that actually matters and that cares for your families, which is connecting with them on a personal level or moving them through a process or a system to get help. So those are the things that we have for you today. I hope that was helpful. I hope it gives you some fun ideas. If you need any more information, or you want to see the how to set some of these things up, you can click on the question mark in the top right of any Planning Center page, get access to our full courses of videos, our documentation, or even connect with our support team. A lot of them come from a ministry background just like yours, and so they're happy to help you troubleshoot or think through creative ways that you can help take care of your families in Planning Center, which is what it's all about. And we hope that you have a great rest of your day.